Hey guys, this week I want to discuss the importance of making a plan, writing it down, sharing it publicly, especially as it relates to the newsletter on Locking the Door, Part 2 of our current series. In fact, making a public commitment is incredibly effective when it comes to staying the course. Morton Deutsch and Harold Gerard, two prominent social psychologists, conducted an experiment back in 1955 where they had college students estimate the length of some lines they had on pages. One group had to write their estimates down and then share them publicly. The second group actually had to write their estimates down, but they did it on a magic pad, and when they were done, then they just raised that little paper up and erased it. And then the third group didn't have to write anything down. It's just something that they kept up in their head. The goal was to determine which students would be most inclined to kind of stick with their initial decisions or their judgments after receiving information that maybe these judgments were wrong. So all the students, after they had done their estimates, were given evidence to suggest that their estimates were wrong. And the results were really clear at the end of the experiment. Those students who never wrote anything down were least loyal to their initial estimates, their decisions of what things were supposed to be. And once new evidence came in, to the contrary, they certainly questioned what they had decided, and they were the most influenced by that new information. Those who had merely written their decisions down, albeit anonymous, and then erased it on the magic pad, were significantly less willing to change their minds given the chance to do so, even in the, evidence at that moment that maybe they were wrong in their judgments. So the majority of the time, they chose to stay with that initial decision. But Deutsch and Gerard found that by far, those students who had written down their estimates and shared them publicly were the most resistant to changing their initial position. In 1985, Kerr and McCune conducted a study where both 6-person and 12-person juries were deciding a close case. Hung juries were significantly more frequent if the jurors had to express publicly their opinion in front of the other jurors by a show of hands rather than a secret ballot. Again, showing that if we take a stand publicly and let other people know what we're doing, we're much less likely to shift. And I think you can put these findings to really good use, and especially as it comes to ending an affair. But I would also tell you, in anything that you're doing in recovery, sharing what your plan is with other people, writing it down and sharing it, is going to greatly increase the probabilities of you going through with things. Because if you're trying to end an affair, some of you might be thinking, well, what if I publicly announce something and then I get information, as these students did, that would say that somehow this may not be the best decision? And I can tell you right now, positively, that is going to happen in the same way it happened to the students. There are going to be days when things go exceedingly poorly in your marriage if you're deciding to end an affair. And at that point, the evidence will suggest that you're going to be much happier if you were to go over here with that affair partner. In fact, it's going to seem like you're insane to stay in the relationship. And later, believe it or not, there's probably going to be good days. And you'll think, wow, I made a really good decision. But without having written that plan and shared it with other people, but without a written plan that you've shared with other people, you're going to be like that group of college students who just made an estimate but never committed by having to write anything down. And I can promise you that if at least in your recovery, if you write a plan, and then if you share it with other people, you're not going to be so easily blown off course. And you'll stick ultimately with what you've chosen. So again, I'm speaking on this series here of locking the door, and I hope that you'll do exactly that, because it talks about making a plan. So make a plan. Please write it down and share it. I think you'll find that's going to be most beneficial to healing.